So what is good, everybody on YouTube? We are back today with a brand new video. You saw the title. It is going to be a Charles Barkley career resimulation in NBA 2K21. Obviously a great player, and it's pretty unfortunate that without some custom rosters, you can't use him in 2K. But after all, we are going to get into it here. Smash the subscribe button if you are new and like the video. So we hopped into the 2021 NBA draft class here. And pick 7 is where Barkley ends up going. Of course, an undersized power forward out of Auburn, standing at 6'6". And in all honesty, this Bulls team that we're working with is not that bad. As you can see, we have Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, Patrick Williams, Wendell Carter, Zach LaVine, and Kobe White all as our supporting cast here. Working with a 3.5-star system proficiency, so not bad at all. And Chuck starting off at an 80 overall here at the age of 19. Working with a few badges, some shooting and some finishing. So I'm definitely excited to see just how this ends up going. And as you can see, MVP going to Trae Young, and 6th Man of the Year actually going to our very own Zach LaVine. And checking out the NBA standings, not too bad in the first year here. Coming in as the number 9 seed, 39-43. Obviously a big step up for the Bulls in general. And we will take it. Zach LaVine leading us in scoring. And not too bad for a rookie campaign here for Barkley with just about 13 points per game. In the finals here, you have the LA Lakers up against the Brooklyn Nets. Of course, a matchup that a lot of people are expecting in real life. And let's see how this one ends up actually playing out. Ultimately, the Lakers end up taking it in 7, moving us into year 2 here, where Charles Barkley now up to an 83 overall, doing his thing to say the very least. Of course, we did unfortunately lose Zach LaVine in free agency, but with the rest of the depth on this team, it's not that big of a worry in general. As you can see, definitely still working with a very good roster still here with a 3.5-star system proficiency. MVP going to Trae Young yet again. Amani Bates getting Rookie of the Year. And our Bulls coming in as a whopping number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. So, the 3rd seed in our second year here with Chuck is not bad, and he already elevates his scoring from 12 points a game all the way up to 20 points per game here, now at an 84 overall, and the second highest scorer on the team behind only Kobe White, already at the age of 20 years old, which is pretty insane. First round matchup here up against the Detroit Pistons, who were a pretty easy matchup for us in all honesty, as we end up taking it in 5 from them. Wendell Carter Jr. having a pretty good game there, and nothing crazy out of Barkley, but it is okay. As we move on to the second round matchup here up against the Charlotte Hornets that added both Lauri Markkanen and Chet, so they definitely made their team a little bit better. Hopefully we can edge them out here, but it is going to be a tough one to say the very least. So let's hop into Simcast here as we find ourselves down 3-1 in the series. And it's looking like we're going to grab a game there with a big dub, 146-point performance, as Patrick Williams actually ends up leading the charge, but a 20-piece there from Barkley nonetheless, as we move ourselves into a position here to potentially push it to a game 7. Hopping into this Simcast here, let's see what we can do. And it's not looking good as we end up losing by 12, 122 to 110. Chet and Lauri Markkanen leading the charge for the Hornets, and Kobe White dropping 41, but unfortunately it was not enough with a rough shooting game there from Barkley. So we're going to be watching the finals from the sideline yet again here. And this Hornets team ends up making it from the East, and out of the West, you got the Dallas Mavericks, of course, with Luka Doncic running their point guard position and Kristaps Porzingis as their big. So let's see how this one ends up going, and it looks like the Hornets actually end up taking it in 5. So I guess it's not so bad that we lost to them in the second round now. Moving us into year 3 here, you see kind of some of the progression. Barkley, 21 years old, now up to an 85 overall, 88 overall Wendell Kobe White, and 85 overall Wendell Carter Jr., so not bad at all. Victor Oladipo still chilling in an 81, and Patrick Williams up to an 84. MVP going to Ja Morant, and we're coming in as the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference yet again. Another very good season for Chuck, going up 1 overall point here to a 20-point per game score as well. Kobe White still leading the charge with about 23.3 per game. And in third for us was Patrick Williams, right around 20 a game as well. Eastern Conference Finals here, we have a huge matchup for us up against the Brooklyn Nets. Of course, a very tough team to face. And let's see if we can end up doing it. We find ourselves down 3-1 in the series. And as you know, the vibes, we are hopping into Simcast to see just how this one plays out. And if we need to potentially hop into any of these games. And we're in a very close one here, as you can see. And it's coming down to the wire, where we ultimately end up taking it by 108-107. A dog fight there. Barkley putting up 24 and 10 in that W. So obviously a big part of us getting that win. And here's our opportunity to push this series to Game 7 as well. Very back and forth here, and we do end up taking it by a slim margin, 117-111. KD being their top scorer and Kobe White ours. Moving us into Game 7, where the real ballers show up, and hopefully we can get it done here, boys. Very back and forth early on. And as we're slowing this down, it is a super close nail-biter of a game here. And we end up taking it 122-112, pulling away a little bit in the last couple of minutes. Kobe White dropping 26, 23 from Patrick Williams as well. And not a bad game there with 16 and 7 for Barkley. But of course, you do want to see maybe a little bit more out of him. But a dub is a dub, and it gets us an opportunity to go to the NBA Finals here, up against Karl Anthony Towns, Cade Cunningham, and Anthony Edwards, where we're not really going to stand too much of a chance, and we get knocked out in 5. Cade Cunningham getting Finals MVP there. Charles Barkley putting up 20 and 11 was not enough, unfortunately. As we move this into year 4 of the sim, Barkley still chilling at an 85 overall at that power forward position, and we have a 4-star system proficiency. James Wiseman ends up getting MVP of the regular season here in year 4, and Bronny is now in the league securing that Rookie of the Year. And honestly, a pretty disappointing year for our Bulls team. We still do make the playoffs coming in as the 8th seed, but we only have a 500 record of 41 and 41. First round matchup here up against the Celtics, and we're going to have to try to play spoiler and try to potentially upset this team, which will not be easy because, of course, they are one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. But thankfully, we are fighting pretty well in this one as we hop into Simcast, and we end up taking it by 10 there, giving us an opportunity to potentially push this to a Game 7 if we get a dub here. We could push it to a dub, or they can push it to a Game 7. So hopefully we can end up taking it here, and yes, sir, we upset the number 1 seeded Celtics just like that. Kobe White dropping 39 and 22 and 12 there from Barkley as well, having a huge game there and obviously playing a big role in our dub overall. Our second round matchup here is up against the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously a very tough team to face, but we did beat them last year, so let's hope that we can keep that momentum rolling as we find ourselves up 3-1 and ultimately take it in 5. Nobody having anything too crazy of a game there, but we will take it as an overall team effort. Eastern Conference Finals here up against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. And it looks like we have an opportunity to go back to the finals, and yes, sir, we do. Knocking them out in 5 there, Bol as their leading scorer. And for us, our leading scorer, Kobe White, followed by Barkley, putting up 33 and 7 there in the dub. Going back to the finals here up against the Timberwolves. Obviously, the team that knocked us out last time. At this time, we are giving up a little bit more of a fight as we have it tied up here at 2-2. And we hop into a pretty crucial game here for Simcast. So let's see how this one ends up playing out. Back and forth here. And yes, sir, we are going to take this 134-123. Putting us up one game, 3-2 in the series. Kristaps leading their charge there. And Kobe White leading ours. One more win is all it will take to see Charles Barkley and the Bulls get an NBA championship. And as you can see, we hop into it. And it is just running down. Shot clock unplugged. Victor Oladipo dribbling the ball out. And yes, sir, we get Charles Barkley an NBA championship pretty early in this sim, let's say honestly. So he's still under the age of 25. So obviously still a lot of potential and a lot of good things to come for us here. I'm definitely interested to see which one of the guys end up getting Finals MVP and all that good stuff. But let's hop into the box score and check it out. 29 piece there from Kobe White. Barkley putting up 17 and 4 on 8 of 12 shooting, so not too bad. And let's see who gets Finals MVP. Checking it out. Of course, the Bulls are our NBA champions. And let's check out that Finals MVP. Kobe White gets it as we move into year 5 of the sim. So not bad for, I believe, a 23-year-old Barkley at that point. So cannot complain. already has an NBA championship, 87 overall starting power forward here. And we have a pretty good group of guys in all honesty. Another MVP season here for James Wiseman. And our Chicago Bulls do improve from 41-41 to 47 wins this year. But we do have some success early in the playoffs here as we find ourselves in the Eastern Conference Finals up against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks, who we did drop off last year. And yes, sir, it's going to be a repeat as we end up taking it in 5 here. 4-1, moving us into the NBA Finals. Kobe White leading the charge yet again. Let's see what we can do here, boys. NBA Finals up against a Rockets team that's starting Grayson Allen, actually. But, of course, they do have Amani Bates, who we have to keep our eye on because that kid is a bucket getter. And we find ourselves in another tough back-and-forth series here where we find ourselves up. Find ourselves tied 2-2, but we end up getting a dub here, moving it to 3-2. Barkley, quick little double-double there, putting up 20 and 10 in the win. And, yes, sir, we have an opportunity to either take it here or go to a Game 7. We hop into Simcast where we find ourselves with the dub, 116-108 over the Houston Rockets, getting back-to-back NBA championships here in the Sim and back-to-back NBA championships for Charles Barkley. Of course, it's a feel-good moment securing them for him. And let's see if our Finals MVP is yet again Kobe White or someone else has grabbed it. And yes, sir, Chuck gets himself a Finals MVP before the age of 25. Moving us in to year 6 of the Sim here, where we have a 92 overall Kobe White, Patrick Williams at 25 years old now, 87 overall, and Chuck at an 86 overall at 24 years old. But of course, by postseason, he will be 25. So looking at the NBA, looking at our stats here, of course, Barkley hovering right around that 20-point per game mark, which is not bad. Kind of interested to see where he's falling amongst power forwards. And he's just about number 4 overall, only behind Zion and Giannis as 2 of the bigger names. So not bad at all. Finding ourselves back in the Eastern Conference Finals. And yes, sir, a 4-0 sweep over the Cleveland Cavaliers gets us yet another shot to get this NBA championship. And if we go back-to-back-to-back, that would be something pretty insane. Kobe White dropping a 40-piece there, and we just get it done. As simple as that. Here in the finals, we are up against a Grizzlies team that has Jason Tatum and Ja Morant. So 2 absolute dogs. Finding ourselves in a battle here, but ultimately we end up losing in 6. Ja Morant getting Finals MVP. You can't win them all. We could not go back-to-back-to-back. But we already have 2 NBA championships fairly early in this Sim. A 25-year-old Charles Barkley would say that that's pretty good. So 88 overall Patrick Williams as well, 2-time NBA champion, 93 overall Kobe White. Not a bad team by any means. And here we go, Luka Doncic getting MVP, and our Bulls still making playoffs, but not being one of the top tier teams that we would like them to be, but pulling in around that 6th seed, so not too shabby, I suppose. 89 overall Barkley still hovering around that 20-point per game mark. We win our second round matchup in a tough Game 7 up against the Knicks, where Barkley kind of shined for us. But we move into the Eastern Conference Finals here, where we're up against the Cleveland Cavaliers yet again. We did beat them last year, but let's not underestimate any opponent, of course. And it's looking good as we end up taking it in a 5-game dub. Moving us to the NBA Championship, where we're going to be battling against the Trail Blazers. And I'm very happy to see if we can maybe get ourselves our 3rd NBA championship here. So we hop into it, back and forth early on, finding ourselves up 3-2, and they push it to a Game 7. This is going to be crucial. We hop into this one where we are in a pretty close game, 106-105. We do have the ball, so some big plays need to be made here. Kobe White driving in, a little contested, a crazy pass to Daniel Gafford, and it does go, making it a ball game. With that right there, we ultimately make it a 5-point game with Gafford grabbing all of those boards. And with all that said, we do end up taking it. Kobe White dropping 37 in the dub, and Kobe White also securing himself Finals MVP for the 2nd time in this Sim with that. So Chuck has gotten 3 NBA championships here, only at the age of 26 years old. Kobe White actually goes ahead and has an MVP season there, and Chuck making an All-NBA team appearance already with just about 21 points per game. Rebounding numbers aren't anything crazy. I would definitely expect more from him, but he's up to a 90 overall now, and he does have an MVP teammate that just put up 33.2 points per game from our point guard position. So here we are yet again, finding ourselves in the Eastern Conference Finals, this time up against a tough Washington Wizards team. So let's see what we can do here. And ultimately, they do end up bouncing us in the Eastern Conference Finals. Chuck dropping 33 in that loss, but it is what it is. Wizards go on to play the Warriors in the finals here, and the Warriors end up taking it all. James Wiseman getting himself a Finals MVP and moving us into year 9 of the sim, where Luka goes ahead and gets an MVP season, and Chuck makes the All-NBA first team. So not bad at all. Patrick Williams also having a really good season in all honesty, so I'm excited to see what the team is going to do for us this postseason, of course. First round matchup here up against a Cleveland Cavaliers team that I'm surprised the 7th seed. They have battled with us in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they end up actually upsetting us here, beating us in 5 games in the first round. Nobody likes to be upset in the first round, but it does happen, unfortunately. And that Cleveland Cavaliers team actually rises up and makes it to the NBA Finals up against the New Orleans Pelicans, where they find themselves up 3-0 in the series and end up taking it in 6. So that's really why you can't underestimate any opponent. We get upset in the first round and they go on to win it all. Charles Barkley here doing his thing, of course, looking very good. MVP season for Luka Doncic, and our Chicago Bulls coming in as the number 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. And Barkley having probably his best scoring season up to this point, almost 25 points per game, helping us get to the second round where we get smoked by the Raptors, who do eventually go on to the NBA championship here up against the Houston Rockets, but they're smoking them as well as they beat them 4-0, moving us on to year 11. A now 91 overall Chuck, of course, still holding down that power forward position for us. LaMelo Ball getting regular season MVP here with the Hornets. But our Chicago Bulls team does indeed lead the Eastern Conference. Chuck coming back down and scoring a little bit, right around 20 points per game as well again. And we end up going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Book gets smoked by this Toronto Raptors team yet again. That did go crazy last year. At least we got a double on them this time, but we end up, of course, losing in 5. And the Raptors team goes on to the finals here up against the Pelicans, where they secure themselves back-to-back NBA championships here. They just have a sick team, and Amani Bates went off. So year 12 here, 30-year-old Chuck now. Looking at some of his accolades now, a 6-time All-Star and a 3-time NBA championship champion. Definitely something that's respectable to say at the very least. Getting 34 minutes per game at our power forward position and making the All-NBA second team. So not bad. But our Bulls do end up missing the playoffs with 44 wins, which is a lot of wins to honestly miss playoffs in all honesty. Kobe White dropping 27 a game, and Chuck still hovering around that 20 point per game sweet spot that he's kind of been at for a majority of his career. Suns in the NBA championship here up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Suns were the number 1 seed in the West, and the Cleveland Cavaliers were the number 1 seed in the East this season. So let's see who ends up taking it, and it looks like the Suns have a pretty big advantage there, getting up 3-1, but the Cavs just won 3 straight to win that in Game 7, so that's pretty crazy. Chuck at a 91 overall still. Kobe White starting to regress a tidbit down to a 91 now at 33 years old. And Troy Cabin-Galley is our 3rd highest scorer on the team. Jalen Lewis getting MVP. And our Bulls do make it back into the playoffs here with the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. Chuck putting up yet again right around 20 points per game. Eastern Conference Finals here up against the New York Knicks, who seem to have our card as we go down 3-0 and ultimately get bounced in 5 by them. Chuck putting up 19 and 15 in that L. Not enough. As we move on to year 14 of the sim, LeBron James Jr. getting MVP with the Bucks, and our Bulls missing playoffs with 40 wins and 42 losses. Not not great standings by any means, of course, but should be enough to get us a playoff spot. Chuck having a great season there, and guys like Cat and D-Book are now retiring, moving us into year 15 here, and now 90 overall. Chuck actually regressing 1 overall point, 33 years old, starting to get up there in age a little bit, so we'll see what the rest of his career has in store for him. Let's hope that it is good and we can get another NBA championship and make it number 4. Looking at the All-NBA teams here, Chuck holding it down on the All-NBA second team for us, even at 34 years old. We do make playoffs, of course, and Chuck putting up right around 21 a game with just about a double-double, almost 21 and 10 a game, so not bad at all from the power forward position. Where we're going up in the first round against one of the teams that did give us some trouble in this sim, the Toronto Raptors. So let's hope for some good luck here, although we find ourselves down 3-0 in the first round here. So not what we wanted, of course, as we end up getting smoked by this Raptors team 4-0, and we just keep it on pushing to year 16. Chuck now at an 87 overall, will be 35 by the end of the season, and let's see if our Bulls ended up making the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. And no, sir, we did not, as we were one of the worst teams, going 28-54. Looking at the player stats from this one, nobody even put up 20 a game on our team, which is kind of crazy. But we'll just keep it pushing again on to year 17, 85 overall. Barkley still holding down that power forward position for us. And yet again, we do indeed miss the playoffs here, which is a little unfortunate. Barkley leading the team in scoring with just about 18 a game, moving us on to year 18. And let's check out what our squad's looking like. We got another Barkley, but a little bit younger one. And Charles Barkley, 81 overall now, chilling at 36 years old, I believe, at the end of this season. We unfortunately do miss playoffs again with 33 wins. Not what you like to see. So 37-year-old Chuck, not getting it done like that anymore. And we move on to year 19, which I would assume will probably be Charles Barkley's last year in the NBA. He is still on the team with a 78 overall, but he's probably not going to get any playing time. Bronny getting an MVP season there with the Bucks. And we end up getting a 37-45 record here. Checking it out, where is Charles or Chuck? 7.7 points per game. So not too bad. Moving into the Hall of Fame inductions, of course, Chuck does end up retiring alongside LaMelo Ball and Cade Cunningham. And, of course, does make the Hall of Fame, because why wouldn't he, right? Looking at the league NBA records and all that, you'll see Chuck amongst a lot of these great names here. And of course, he does get his number retired by the Bulls, as he had a fantastic career with the Chicago Bulls, where he was about an 8 or 9 time All-Star and a 3-time NBA champion. So I think that's worth it in itself. And I mean, Chuck's probably not going to be anywhere too crazy on these lists, but probably in like the 30-ish range for a lot of these things, such as total points, rebounds, and some of that. So of course, like always, if you guys made it this far throughout the video, as always, comment GOAT in all capitals so I can see you are a true Bean Squad supporter and show you some love in the comment section below. I'm going to let this roll out as it usually would with the instrumental rolling. I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. I appreciate you guys for watching. Bean out.